Tired of rage scrolling through AI slop and clickbait just to get a handle on today's news? Meet Impress, the algorithm-free news app that makes it fun and rewarding to stay informed. Track your media literacy and rediscover reality. Download today at inpress.app. That's I-N as in news nerd, press.
This episode is brought to you by Claude by Anthropic. Claude is the AI for minds that don't stop at good enough. It's the collaborator that actually understands your entire workflow and thinks with you. Whether you're debugging code at midnight or strategizing your next business move, Claude extends your thinking to tackle the problems that matter and finds connections you might have missed. For problems worth solving, get started at claude.ai/Spotify.
It didn't happen all at once. Instead, the modern disenchantment with romance unfolded slowly, subtly, but still unmistakably. Post-COVID, young people stopped dating as much. If you talk to them about why, what you hear is exhaustion with the apps, the whole hassle of combing through matches, chatting, finding a mutually convenient time, and then dragging yourself out of the house to meet a total stranger. All of that started to seem less important than seeing friends, caring for family, getting some work done, watching the series that everyone else was talking about. These shifts were made one by one, inside people's heads. And then all of these individual decisions accumulated over time and turned into something new. Something which staff writer Faith Hill calls the romance slump. I have a question for you as my colleague. Are you the romance reporter? Is that your actual job?
I think I'm proud to hold that mantle. I report on some other things too, but romance and dating and singlehood specifically has kind of become a big thing for me.
That's amazing. So you are the Atlantic has a romance and relationship reporter, and that is you.
I guess so.
I'm Hannah Rosen. This is Radio Atlantic. Faith spent the last several months reporting on what she called the Great Romance Slump. In the last 40 or so years, we've seen huge drops in both marriage and cohabitation rates, especially among 25 to 34-year-olds.
But there's also just a shrinking share of young adults who have a steady partner. And, in 2019, 42% of single adults younger than 40 told Pew Research Center that they'd never been in a committed relationship.
That is the statistic that really surprised me.
I felt the same when I saw that. And, I think it's important to talk about because it's pretty easy to shrug off the declining marriage rates as kind of like, the institution of marriage is not as important to people. You can easily have romance without marriage.
Or intimacy without marriage, or children without marriage.
Right, exactly. But that's not the only thing going on. It's not just about sort of views towards marriage. And I think this is really quite a profound change.
Yeah, listening to you, I see why you called your story the romance slump, because it is something of a resignation. Like it's kind of like a shrug.
Yes, that's exactly it. I liked the term for that reason. It, has this kind of subtle, almost passive feel to it. It's not a sudden and dramatic plummet. It's not that active, like it's not people all swearing off romance, but rather sort of a lot of people kind of slowly giving up on it, kind of captures this pessimism and fatigue.
Yeah, it's like a slight bad smell in the air.
Yeah, exactly. But it also implies that it's not necessarily permanent. You can come back from a slump. So there's that too.
Okay, let's get into some of the reasons this is happening. Some I can just guess right off the bat. I did write a book called The End of Men about a decade ago, so I did a lot of study into how men's and women's relationships were changing, and just the basic fact of women being more financially independent, women being able to buy houses. We can have credit cards now. Amazing. Have any career you want. So the basic idea that you need a man in order to survive is just not true anymore. What are some of the other reasons that you came across? Or at least, what's your take on the cause?
I think that there's kind of a combination of people needing romance less than they used to, which is great, and also dating being hard in these very specific, frustrating ways. Like, you hear so much about the dating apps when people talk about singlehood and romance. And a lot of times I think people are talking about the sort of distance of the technology making it easier to ghost and people being on bad behavior because of that, kind of the lack of accountability. And also you hear a lot about the kind of paradox of choice, like people are just swimming in options. And I think there's truth there. But I do kind of think, the big thing that comes to mind for me when I consider online dating is just the toll that it takes on people, when you're having to set aside time and energy and money to meet strangers, to suss them out on the app and then meet up with them and then, try to keep the momentum up. It just is a huge toll. And, I think that toll means that a lot of people want a relationship but aren't going to prioritize it. But I think the combination of dating being kind of exhausting and time-consuming and requiring sacrifice from other areas of life and singlehood being so normal and doable, it starts to make it very easy for romance to just not be the top thing that you want to pursue. And, when you want romance but don't need it and you don't feel like it's gonna be easy to get and you don't feel optimistic about those chances or about the people you would be dating, a lot of people are just gonna give it up.
And so if you were a sociologist, what would be the sentence? What is the headline in the world of romance that merits bigger attention?
Well, I would say, romance is obviously a very broad term. Under that umbrella, you might fit sex, dating, partnership, marriage, but all of these forms, particularly among young people, seem to be on the decline. And I think that shift has a lot of downstream implications. It's changing how and whether people have families, how people spend their time, how they spend their money, potentially who they vote for. And, if romance is no longer the center of nearly everyone's life, something else is.
How fed up with romance do people have to be before they give up? The line is different for everyone. But there are some patterns in people's breaking points. Faith created a survey and sent it far and wide. She heard back from men, women, non-binary people, queer, straight, and living in all different parts of the country. One loud theme that emerges from the respondents, but also from the research, is a gender gap. More women giving up on men. Not trusting them to be supportive in the right ways, not getting what they need from them, and not willing to give so much when they're not getting back. One of the people that Faith talked to was a woman named Treasure, who drifted away from romance and then did find new things to put at the center of her life.
Treasure is a 39-year-old woman in Chicago who has been single for a long time, and she's loving it.
I have been single now for 10 years.
She, for many years, was trying to date seriously, trying to find someone to marry. She was, really romantic and had high hopes about it.
From 18 to about 27, I took dating very seriously.
She was engaged 4 different times. In each one, she felt like she was contributing half financially, and yet she was also doing all of the childcare. She has 3 children.
I already had 2 children before I turned 18. I started off as a teen mother. All 4 relationships failed because it's like raising another child.
After that 4th relationship ended, the 4th engagement, that was really the last straw for her.
I'm going to get extremely personal here, but I had a miscarriage, and my significant other at the time noticed that I was depressed and noticed that I was upset. And I kept trying to explain to him, well, my hormones are changing right now. I was already 4 months along. I was like, I'm really sad right now. I know you feel like you need attention, but right now I can't do this. This isn't about you.
She said, the one time that I need something from him, his support, he couldn't be there.
In my mind, it was like I overperform in these relationships. And when it comes down to the wire and something is needed for me from them, I was not receiving it. And if that's the case, then what is the purpose?
I think she just felt really exhausted by holding everyone else up and feeling like the mother to the partners she had had.
That was the last time for me. I was like, this isn't for me.
She likes to say, she realized if she wasn't going to find a husband, she had to make husband money. So she did a bunch of training and an apprenticeship, and she ended up becoming a technical engineer in a union job. And that totally changed the financial picture for her, where she felt like, she could be single and take care of her kids herself.
I've been in the trades now for 9 years, and I choose not to date anymore.
When she first gave up on dating and romance, she felt really lonely. I think it was a big change. But she realized she just had to start replacing what she had gotten from those partnerships with other things.
I adjusted and I made more friends and I found myself again. I have new hobbies and go places alone. I travel alone. I go to the movies alone. I go out to dinner alone. I'm literally dating myself, and I'm so much happier. I am the one for me.
She wishes that she could have found the relationship that she once dreamed about, but she said, I think at this point it's a fantasy.
It's kind of like, how do you get it all? Is there a way? I haven't found it. I had to give up romantic love with a spouse in order to achieve everything else that I wanted.
That's so interesting. It's like when Esther Perel says, we look to our partners and we expect everything from them, and that's not realistic. It sounds like she just took the everything and divided it among people. Like, I'm going to have best friends here. I'm going to have a community there. I'm going to make money here. And maybe she just has sex somewhere else.
Right, exactly.
I bet that there are women who can definitely relate to that. Does she seem happy to you now?
She really does seem happy. Yeah, she was, I think, one of the happiest people I talked to for this story. Mm-hmm. I found that really beautiful to kind of realize that if you can sort of round that bend psychologically, sometimes you just can grow to love your life in the way it is if you sort of lean into it. I don't think it would necessarily be the same for everyone, but Treasure is really independent and she has great friendships and meaningful work. I think she just had such a hard time trying to find love that in comparison, she feels so free.
It's important because I guess she counts as a post-romance model. Like, it's not for everyone, but that is a template that might work for some people because she did want to have a romantic relationship at some point. She sought it. She tried many times. And so for anyone in that situation, this is an alternate model that's maybe hopeful at the other side. Did you have a sense of how typical she was?
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of people who have sort of stopped searching for romance. I think she might be a little atypical in just how much she's loving it and thriving. But I've talked to a lot of people who say that they would welcome a relationship if it fell in their lap, but they're not going to search for it. They just can't do that anymore. They're too exhausted. They spent too much time on it. They want to focus on other things. And I actually talked to one researcher who said, she had to stop asking in studies whether people were actively looking for a relationship because what resonated more with people was whether they were open to a relationship.
It's also interesting because the word slump is sort of a negative word, but Treasure's case implies that the romance slump is not necessarily a negative thing because it does open up alternate possibilities, particularly for women.
I think that's definitely the hope. And I think for some people like Treasure who can kind of pull this off and find meaning and community in all these other ways, it could be really beautiful. And of course, it is a great thing that this change is happening partly because women are able to live independently and focus on other things. So I definitely don't think the shift is all negative. At the same time, the majority of single people do still say that they want a long-term partnership. And so for me, that's kind of at the heart of this story. What happens to the people who want love and are struggling to find it or give up on it altogether? I do think that there's real loss there that we can take seriously, even if, it does open up sort of new ways to think about purpose and community and meaning.
Next up, the men. What's their experience of the romance slump? That's after the break.
If you're trying to get news today, you'll find a lot of biased algorithms, rage bait, and AI noise. Thanks, social media. That's where InPress comes in. It's a social platform on top of factual journalism, not the other way around. Track your reading and earn points. It's like Strava for your brain. Plus, you can connect with other users in your city who share your genuine curiosity. Ditch the echo chamber for reality with InPress. Download it today for iOS or Android at inpress.app. That's N as in news nerd, press.
This episode is brought to you by Claude by Anthropic. Claude is the AI for minds that don't stop at good enough. It's the collaborator that actually understands your entire workflow and thinks with you. Whether you're debugging code at midnight or strategizing your next business move, Claude extends your thinking to tackle the problems that matter and finds connections you might have missed. For problems worth solving, get started at claude.ai/Spotify.
Okay, we've talked about the women's point of view. What about the men? I want to talk about one of the guys you interviewed, Arthur. Can you tell me about him?
Arthur is a guy in his 40s who has spent many years dating. He's had one-off dates here and there. He's dated some people for a month or so. He's had some 1 to 2 year relationships. But he's always felt like it just kind of hasn't totally worked out.
It was always kind of hedged by them saying, oh, you're nice and everything. We've had some good times, but honestly, you're not really right for me.
Some exes have kind of told him that they feel like he's almost too nice.
I'm not sure how to square that. I will be, the man and, make all the plans and execute and everything. If you want.
They want him to kind of be more decisive, be the man in the relationship.
But, that does kind of come at the cost of me being somewhat less, supportive and more demanding because it kind of has to be that way.
One person said that he has dad energy.
I'm not 100% sure what that means, but I'm guessing it's not very sexy.
Oh,
right.
That's trauma. Yeah. That could be great, I guess, but it sounds like he did not take it as a good thing.
Right. And I think this person didn't take it as a good thing in the romantic context. She wasn't looking for dad energy.
Yeah. That gets into something very important, which is the impossible dilemma that men seem to be in. It's very hard to know how to be because you mentioned earlier that part of the problem between Treasure, who we talked about, and lots of women was that men could not see their needs or weren't open or communicative enough. And yet here's poor Arthur maybe trying to be that way and getting dinged for it. Did you hear men talk about their confusion over roles?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're in a kind of confusing in-between time where there are sort of these new standards for men that they're trying to reach, like this, being kind and communicative and emotionally open, but at the same time, the old standards haven't really gone away fully. So a lot of men did still feel like they were expected to pay for everything on the dates and kind of take the lead on everything, initiate flirting, kissing, and they felt sort of torn between those two and confused. Like they were trying to kind of exemplify all of these traits at once, like be sort of masculine and sturdy, but also gentle and empathetic, and just, feeling like they were sort of always falling down on the job on one of those sides.
And did Arthur have any positive experiences? Like, did he have any success or things that worked for him?
He definitely had some, relationships that ended in friendships. And so it hasn't been all, a bad time. And yet I think he felt like he was just putting so much into it. He still very deeply wants to find love.
I'm human, right? Like I want to go out and like meet people and, kiss the pretty ladies and all that.
But he just feels like he can't be prioritizing it anymore.
There's so much going on. I've got all this stuff that I need to learn. I want to go play with my niece and my nephew, you know what I mean? So something had to give. And I decided it was kind of like, you know what? This romantic stuff is not going my way anyway. Instead of being like, top 3 things in my life, let's bring it down to like maybe the bottom of the top 10.
So he's kind of pulled back from it. He's focusing on being a good uncle, a good person, a good employee. So he's like, let me just focus on myself and being the best person I can be. And that has been a real, sort of grief that he's carrying.
It really broke my heart to feel like I wouldn't find my person. Like it really did. I carried that. It was like I lost a parent. Like it really felt that hard.
He feels like he kind of had to at least temporarily say goodbye to this partner he kept expecting to show up.
Did Arthur have a moment in the same way that Treasure did? Like a moment where he thought, like Treasure's miscarriage moment where he thought, I gotta stop?
I think for him, it was a little bit more gradual over time, like just realizing sort of how draining this was. He also talked about COVID. There was a huge pandemic dating recession, and a big part of that was just young people not meeting as much. The singlehood rates rose a lot after COVID. But there's also another element, which is something that Arthur talked about, which is feeling like he actually lost some social skills when he was isolating in COVID. He just was obviously not seeing people as much for a long time. And then when the world kind of opened up, it takes a while to sort of get back into the social life you used to have.
The world slowly started opening up again, and I found myself feeling awkward. It's like being 17 again and like afraid to talk to the pretty girl you see.
I think a lot of people can relate to that, right? Like in the dating context or otherwise, just like feeling weirdly socially rusty. And that does not make making good chat and being charming with a stranger easy. Like dating is already pretty hard socially.
Yeah. You said that Arthur was focusing on other things. How do you hear something like that? Like, do you hear that to mean he's given up on romance? He's not actively dating?
I think that's kind of one of the big questions of this piece. How much is this a sad thing for people, or how much is it kind of a triumph that people can have other priorities? And I think it's a big mix. I do think he has a meaningful and full life, and he's getting a lot of purpose and enrichment from the relationships and the hobbies he does have. But at the same time, he says himself that he is yearning for a partner. He wants to do all of this with someone.
I do want to find somebody that I can wake up in the morning and snuggle with, for the next 20 or 30 years.
And so I think it's kind of both at once. I'm very happy for him that he is able to find meaning in these other ways, and that he has taken kind of a break from dating when it was not feeling good. But at the same time, he's not getting something that he wants. And I want that for him.
So you're a romance reporter. You're also an adult woman looking for a long-term partnership. So I'm curious what this reporting experience has done to your outlook. Did you talk to all these people and feel comforted and more hopeful? Or did you talk to all these people and think, oh, we just have to really accept a new reality? Like we are entering a kind of post-romance, post-marriage age, and we have to be creative about how we adapt to it?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I definitely feel comfort in the sense that there are so many great people who just have been struggling with this for a really long time. And it does make one feel less alone in it. So there's something really important about knowing there are like structural forces at work and a lot of luck too.
Like, it's not just me. Like, the world is conspiring against me in some way.
Right, exactly. But at the same time, of course, that makes you feel like a little more pessimistic, right? Because it's not like I can just change something about myself. It's like, yeah, dating is really hard right now. And a lot of people are in this situation, and we can't just sort of fix all of the things that are making it hard.
Yeah. You've mentioned the yearning a couple of times. I wonder if that made you pessimistic or hopeful. Like, when I think of tens of thousands of young people yearning for a partner, it makes me sad, but maybe also makes me happy. Like, it's a motivating factor. How did you receive that?
Yeah, I think the yearning is kind of a beautiful thing. I mean, it's a human emotion, and it can be positive in that it drives people forward to look for something that they really want. And I love to hear when people can sort of find peace with singlehood and close that door if that makes their life better. And yet at the same time, I think that's the thing with the slump, right? Like, a lot of people who do want partnership are just kind of giving up. And I think the yearning is one thing that is going to kind of keep people having hope and still trying. I wouldn't want all of that to go away. And I also hope that, people can maybe channel the yearning into other parts of life. Like, I do think there's not such a clear objective divide between the romantic and other forms of love and passion. And, I think maybe these single people who are turning their attention elsewhere are really bringing a lot of their heart and soul because they're looking for other ways to kind of fill the center of their life and like give love. And I think that gives them sort of a powerful energy.
Yeah. Can I ask, did you shift in any way? Like, after doing all of this reporting and talking to all of these people and finding all of this company in the looking for romance in an ambivalent way, did you make any decisions about your own life?
I didn't make any clear ones, but I will say, when I talk to people who have stopped dating, and, a lot of those people are enjoying their life more now than when they were dating because they weren't having a good time. That's why they stopped. So it feels pretty tempting. And I do start to think, of all the different things I could be doing with my time. Like, I feel like I might be a better daughter and a better friend, and maybe I could like start writing fiction, or, my mind starts racing. And I think those are good things to be thinking about. We all do have limited time on this earth, and we have to make choices about how to use it. So that's something I'm considering, but I also know that some people I talked to, when I checked in after we had an interview, they had some dates with someone they were really excited about. Or I talked to at least one person who was like, oh, I found someone, like, he's the one. I am not right for your story anymore. So that also was a reminder that, if you do keep trying, for a lot of people, eventually, like, there is, someone who makes the rest of it all feel like it was worth it to lead to that. So I'm split.
We can never give up on the rom-com ending.
Yeah.
It's just how we are. We're just built that way. Well, Faith, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much.
This episode of Radio Atlantic was produced by Rosie Hughes, with help from Jacob Smolin and Janae West. It was edited by Kevin Townsend. Rob Smerciak engineered and provided original music. We also had music from Breakmaster Cylinder. Fact-checking by Genevieve Finn and Alex Maronia Porto. Claudina Bade is the executive producer of Atlantic Audio, and Andrea Valdez is our managing editor. Listeners, if you enjoy the show, you can support our work and the work of all Atlantic journalists when you subscribe to The Atlantic at theatlantic.com/listener. I'm Hannah Rosen. Thank you for listening.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.